A warm welcome to everyone and thank you for joining us today. As part of Encora Elements uh, program, we present workshops and webinars, and today's webinar will be on PHP Application Security. The reason for that is PHP's popularity makes it a target for attackers. So, secure coding practices are essential to shield your applications from vulnerabilities, protecting user data, and ensuring application functions as needed. Today, our presenter would be Chirag, and he is a tech lead at Encora. He works in PHP, React, and Node. Some of his favorite pastimes are playing cricket, watching movies, and just having fun hanging out with his friends. So I will not take any more of your time and I will hand the session over to Chirag. Once again, thank you for joining us and being part of our series.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Very warm welcome to all the audience and good evening. So today's topic is about, as David mentioned, about PHP's application security. So let's see like what we have today. So we will cover mostly, three types of application security in the PHP. So what are the common security threats and how we can prevent those. So we will start first with the introduction, like how the PHP application security works. And then we will see, three types of major threats. First is SQL injection. Second is cross-site scripting. And third one is cross-site request forgery. So I think some of you might have already heard it, and like in your day-to-day practice, you might have came across all of them. But we will see, in deep, like how those are, available in PHP application and how we can prevent it. And in the last, we will see all the summary, like how and what we have learned today. Okay, so let's see one by one. So PHP is mostly like used with web application, and in the web application we all know like how the data should be prevented and how the user data it matters the most. So it is referring to the practice of implementing measures to protect web applications developed using PHP from various security threats and vulnerabilities. There are many security threats and vulnerabilities present in the real world, so we have to have some practices to prevent those. Okay, so what it includes, so it involves implementing techniques and best practices to mitigate risk such as unauthorized access, data breaches, injection attacks, and cross-site scripting and CSRF from other forms of cyber attacks. So PHP application security, aims to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data and functionality within the web application. And also we need to safeguard them, okay, with potential attacks and malicious actors. Okay, so it is very much important to highlight the significance of security in web development due to the increasing prevalence of cyber attacks and cyber threats through the potential risk of attackers. Okay, so this is what about PHP application security. Now let's see like what are the common security threats. So as mentioned, we will first see SQL injection. Okay, let's see. So SQL term is oftenly used, with MySQL like database. Okay, so whenever you see, any login form, it is oftenly works with the database. So when you when you are seeing the login form, it has either username or email address and the password field and the submit button. Okay, so as soon as you enter, username and password and hits the submit button, what it does in the backend, so it will, just query it from the database, like matching username and matching password. And then on the basis of that value, the query will retrieve the particular username and it will allow you to authenticate the next pages of the application. Okay, so this is how the login form works. Now attackers do the SQL injection. So let's see how they do. SQL injection occurs when an attacker inserts malicious SQL code into input fields or URL parameters of a web application. Okay. So here I have taken the example of a simple username and password. Like in PHP, how do you print username and password? Simply by $_post method. So once user enters this username and password, we are trying to print it over here like $_post of username and $_post of password. Okay. So it will just do the query like select star from user where username is equal to $username and password equal to $password. Okay. Now, how does the attacker enters any malicious data or SQL injection? So here I have taken the example, like let's say if an attacker enters this kind of value presenting in front of you, like or 1 = 1 dash dash as the username and leaves the password field empty. So how this SQL query will become? So you can see it will become select star from users where username is equal to blank or 1 = 1. So the password, so the right part will be commented, as you can see, because the query is forming or equal to 1 or 1 = 1 and dash dash. So the remaining part will be commented out. Okay. So here we can see the attacker is trying to bypass the authentication. So that query will return 1 = 1 always, and they can get the user data because the attackers won't be knowing the password. So they will simply try to use or 1 = 1. Okay. So this is very common example of SQL injection and one of the important parameter of the PHP application security. Okay. So now let me tell you how we can prevent this SQL injection. Okay, in PHP. So there are various methods, to protect against the SQL injection, but I have tried to cover most widely used, techniques. So first one is we can use prepared statement with parameterized query instead of directly concatenating into the raw SQL queries. So in modern PHP, if you have seen in any of the codes, in modern PHP, you will see some PDO object. So PDO is nothing but a PHP data object, which is a kind of a library which we need to enable. It's a kind of extension we need to enable while installing the PHP. So then you can connect with the PDO database library, and then you can form the parameterized query by using the PDO prepare statement. Okay. And then you just need to execute the username and password variables. Okay. So it will replace the username. Sorry, it will replace the question mark, username and password in the prepare statement with the given variables. Okay. Second one, you need to validate and sanitize your user input to ensure it conforms to expected formats and does not contain any malicious characters. So we can use, PHP's user-defined variable filter_var. So what it will do, it will filter the variable according to the second argument. So second argument, as you can see, it is filter_sanitize string. So it will sanitize your string, like we have given the $_post of username. So filter_variable, it will take the first argument as our user defined variable and second argument as the filter sanitize string. So here you can take many arguments, like you can put email as well, you can put the sanitize string as well. There are multiple options available for this particular filter_var option. Okay. Third one, consider using object relational mapping libraries like Doctrine or Relocon, which abstract SQL queries and provide built-in protection against SQL injection. So this is my personal favorite because I use Cake PHP or Laravel. In that particular frameworks, you have this object relational mapping inbuilt. So while using Laravel or Cake PHP, we don't have to worry about this particular SQL injection. we can use this ORM from that particular frameworks only. Okay. Next, the second particularly the attack is cross-site scripting, which is also known as XSS. Okay. So what is it? So cross-site scripting is a vulnerability that allows attackers to inject malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users. Okay. So SQL injection is, is the backend kind of attack. It happens on the backend side, but this XSS, this happens on the front end side. I have mentioned like it is being viewed by other users. It can be viewed by other users. Okay. So let's assume like we have a WordPress site or a kind of a post and comments related site. Okay. In that we have some URL like https example.com/page.php, and in query string there is a comment in which user can write their comments, and we are just printing it out via $_get of comment. Okay. So let's see how attackers trying to do this XSS attack. So these scripts can hijack user sessions, deface websites, steal sensitive information such as cookies or credential, or even perform actions on behalf of the users. So these kind of scenarios can happen with XSS. Okay. So let's see how attackers do that. So let's say you have a PHP application with a page that displays user comments. Okay. So what attackers will do, they will write inside the script alert XSS attack. Okay. This is written inside the script. Okay. And now we are just printing $_get of comment. So what will happen if you press the submit button or hit the URL, it will just give the alert pop up on that particular page. So it will be kind of a XSS attack. Okay. So via this particular method, we are not giving any kind of filterization in our stream or the inputs that we are taking from the users. Okay. So now let's see how we can protect them via PHP. So first method is input validation. This is very simple. So we just have to use the variable filter underscore, sorry, we just need to use the function which is provided by PHP filter underscore input. And in the first argument, we will take input underscore get because we are just, getting the comments from user. Second argument is comment, the variable, and third argument is filter underscore sanitize underscore string that we have already shown in the first protection. Okay. So now it will be sanitized using this particular function. So the script part will be removed. Okay. Second is using the CSP. Now, what is CSP? It is nothing but content security policy. So you might have checked the meta tag in every website, in every pages. So we just need to write this particular line of argument in meta content, which is showing in the screen. So with this particular value in the meta tag, we can prevent the XSS. Okay. Third thing, output encoding. So this is very common PHP function, HTML special case, and in that we need to provide the variable. So whatever value inside this variable, it will remove the HTML special characters from that particular variable's value, and it will give you the row value. Let's see, like if I give a script inside the, if I give the value inside the script, then it will remove the script part and it will give you the value via this HTML special characters function. Okay. Third one, cross-site request forgery. Okay. Cross-site request forgery is a type of attack where an attacker tricks a user into unintentionally performing action on a website in which they are authenticated. So this is kind of an attack in which attackers are authenticated and then they will unintentionally perform some of the actions. So let's see how they are authenticated. So the attacker crafts a malicious request and gets the victim to execute it. often by enticing them to click on a specially crafted link or visit a malicious website while logged in into the target site. So they will use some kind of tricks, by creating some dummy link or by creating some fake websites to click in. And when user, got tricked by clicking those links or website, they utilize those information and they do the authentication. Okay. So let's take an example over here. So let's assume a banking website where user can transfer money between accounts. Simply in banking website, what users do, like they will check their transactions and will transfer the money between the accounts. Okay. So this website allows users to perform transactions by submitting a post request to a specific URL. So let's assume like a bank website will have a post request like slash transfer, okay, in which what it will do, it will consider a source account, a to account, and amount. Okay, so the attacker crafts a malicious HTML page containing a form that automatically submit a post request to the bank's transfer endpoint. So let's see how we have done it over here. So let's say an attacker is trying to create one HTML page in which it have it has from account, to account, and amount. That is a form field values. Okay, and we have the PHP code over here. So once user submits, what attackers do, they will start the session. They will put all the variables value in the like from account, to account, and amount, and they will have one function transfer funds like from account to account and amount. Okay, this is a simple code we have tried to generate over here. Okay, so now what attackers try to do, they will create simply a kind of a dummy HTML form in which they will take the action of that bank account, bank website. Okay, and they will put the same values over here. Okay, so you can see like the values are being populated over here. Okay, so the attacker then tricks the victim into visiting their malicious page while logged into the bank's website. Since the victim is authenticated on the bank side, their browser automatically submits the form, initiating a transfer of funds from their account to the attacker's account without their knowledge. So it is kind of a tricky, when the victim, like let's say you and me are kind of a victim, which cannot differentiate between these kind of websites. So what we will do, we will try to perform our normal activity like the bank transfer, so we don't know like whether it is a malicious form or not. So we will simply do the transfer, and when the transfer happened, you got to know like, okay, I'm being routed by attackers. Okay, so how can we protect against this CSRF? So one common method is CSRF tokens. In many of the modern PHP code, you might have seen like usage of CSRF token. So when the post request happen in the form and in the session, we compare those CSRF token. So if it is not validated, it will give you the exception like CSRF token validation is failed. So what does it do, like the CSRF token will be presenting on the form side and also on the session side. So both the side it will be compared, and it is, if it is not matched, then it will be throwing you the error like the CSRF token is not matching. Okay. Second one is same site cookies. So this is very good example, like if you have written this code in your PHP application, then it will check like whether the request and response are coming from the same site or not. If it is enabled, same site cookies are enabled, then you can protect against CSRF. Okay. Third thing, use frameworks like Laravel. So Laravel framework is very modern PHP framework. This provides inbuilt facility to protect against CSRF. So CSRF tokens are inbuilt in the Laravel. Okay. So let's see, the summary, like how and what we have learned so far. Okay. So first point, always validate and sanitize user input to prevent common vulnerabilities such as SQL injection and XSS. Okay, so we need to use PHP functions like filter underscore input, and some of the regular expression are also present, to validate input and remove or escape potentially dangerous characters. So some of the attackers will try to put some, dangerous characters into the input string. So by using PHP functions like filter input and some of the regular expression, we can definitely remove that. Third point, encode user input before displaying it back to the user to prevent XSS attacks. So we have to use functions like HTML special chars or HTML entities to convert special characters into the HTML entities. Just like we have, seen in the example, like inside the script, if I'm putting the alert, then these kind of functions, will remove those special characters and it will convert into the HTML entities. Fourth point, use prepared statements or parameterized queries like the PDO example I have given instead of concatenating user input directly into the SQL queries to avoid dynamic SQL queries whenever possible. Okay. Final one. Implement CSP by means content security policy to restrict the sources from which scripts can be loaded and include CSRF tokens in forms and validate them on the server side to prevent unauthorized requests. So this is very much important. The CSRF tokens are very much important in any of the web pages or in any of the PHP applications. So without that, it will be really trouble to handling those forms. So if we have CSRF tokens in the forms, then we don't have to worry about the final attack that we have seen. Okay, so we can prevent the unauthorized access and we can prevent the cross-site request forgery. Okay. All right. Any questions?
We don't have any questions today, Chirag.
Okay, fine. Then I would like to end over here and thank you very much for listening to me. You can reach out to my email or the mobile. Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chirag. Thank you for presenting, and thank you everyone who joined us today.
Thank you.